Donald Trump escalates his threats to take over Greenland, Canada is looking north, thinking more than ever about sovereignty and security. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew is reminding Canadians of a provincial portal that already exists.
There's only one port and one rail line that feeds the Arctic, and that would be absolutely essential for us to maintain sovereignty in Canada's Arctic, and that is at Churchill, and that is in Manitoba.
Kinew says the Port of Churchill, located on Hudson Bay in northern Manitoba, would be Canada's, quote, only hope if Trump follows through with annexing Greenland.
As US President Donald Trump escalates his threats to take over Greenland, Canada is being forced to look north and think harder than ever about what Arctic sovereignty actually means. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew has a clear answer. There is only one port and one rail line that feeds the Arctic, and that would be absolutely essential for us to maintain sovereignty in Canada's Arctic, and that is at Churchill, and that is in Manitoba. The Port of Churchill, sitting on the edge of Hudson Bay in northern Manitoba, may be Canada's most strategically important piece of infrastructure that most Canadians have never thought about. But that is changing fast. For decades, Churchill has been a geographical fact that nobody fully acted on, Canada's only deepwater Arctic port. Connected to the North American Class 1 rail network, the shortest maritime route from the prairie provinces to European markets. The numbers have always been compelling. The follow-through never was. What is different now is everything happening at once. Geopolitical pressure from Washington. A federal government newly committed to trade diversification. An Indigenous ownership structure that changes the legal and political dynamics of northern development. And an international partnership that signals serious commercial intent. The project at the centre of all of it is called Port of Churchill Plus. In September 2025, the Federal Major Projects Office placed Port of Churchill Plus on its transformative strategies list. The project has 4 documented elements. First, upgrading the Hudson Bay Railway to Class 1 standards. The railway currently connects Churchill to the PARS, Manitoba, and through CN Rail's network to the continental North American freight system. Upgrading the line means increasing track weight capacity, reducing operational restrictions, and enabling the heavier, faster trains that modern bulk commodity export demands. Second, dedicated marine icebreaking capacity to extend the shipping season. Hudson Bay freezes from roughly December through June. Today, the port operates for approximately 4 months per year. Extending that to year-round requires specialised ice-breaking assets capable of maintaining a navigable channel through Hudson Bay's freeze season. The Government of Canada and the Government of Manitoba are jointly funding the Arctic Research Foundation to lead a feasibility study examining what combination of icebreakers, ice tugs and research vessels could achieve that goal and at what cost. Third, an all-weather road connection to Churchill. This may be the single most consequential element of the 4. Churchill currently has no road link to the provincial highway network. Every person, every piece of equipment, every supply that arrives in Churchill comes by rail or by air. A road connection does not simply improve access. It fundamentally restructures the cost of construction, maintenance, and long-term operations across the entire northern corridor. Fourth, a new energy corridor. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew has publicly discussed making Churchill an LNG export hub by 2030. Pipeline plans connecting Western Canadian energy production to Churchill's marine terminal are circulating in development circles. An energy corridor through Churchill would give Alberta and Saskatchewan producers a direct northern export route to European buyers who have been actively restructuring their supply relationships since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and who now face additional constraints from Middle Eastern supply disruptions. Harry's Economic Development Canada has announced the launch of a market-sounding study to gather industry input on the long-term growth potential of the project. The study is engaging senior executives across mining, energy, potash, grain, and northern resupply sectors to assess how a transformed Churchill could reshape their supply chain decisions, export strategies, and private sector investment planning over the coming decades. The federal government is investing up to $248,600 in the study, expected to be completed in 2026. Since 2018, the Government of Canada has invested over $320 million in maintaining and developing the Hudson Bay Railway and the Port of Churchill. The Manitoba government has committed $140.2 million in capital upgrades to the corridor since 2022. In November 2025, Ottawa committed a further $175 million package through 2030. Transport Minister Stephen McKinnon stated, "The Port of Churchill is set to play a central role in our government's vision to build a stronger, more resilient Canadian economy that is better connected to global markets. By ensuring that we are investing strategically, we are creating new opportunities for northern communities and Canadian businesses, supporting Indigenous economic leadership, and strengthening our sovereignty. The institutional foundation that makes this transformation plausible where previous attempts fell short is the ownership structure of Arctic Gateway Group,